Hi traders, it's Zoran here, head of sales from Eightcap, and it's that time of the week again where we're doing analysis on particular stock. And I've been actually having a lot of thoughts which one I would like to actually speak about today. And I'll be looking at something here close to Australia. So I'll be focusing on New Zealand dollar versus US dollar. Many would actually ask the question, why am I focusing on New Zealand dollar? And it's actually quite clear. We've got New Zealand interest rate decision. So Reserve Bank of New Zealand is actually doing an announcement on Wednesday, and it looks like actually they will be raising the rates for another 25 basis points, and it might be one of the last time, or at least that's what they're predicting based on the inflationary figures, that they will be actually rounding off that terminal rate to around 5.5%. And now when it comes to the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, they have been actually one of the most aggressive reserve banks around the globe lifting the rates, and it looks like they will be actually coming to the end of the rate cycle, or be one of the first ones, at least to predict in the short term. Reserve Bank of New Zealand is also factoring in another 2 to 3 basis points in terms of the rate cuts later in the year, as they believe in 2024 or second quarter or second half of 2024, they will be bringing the inflation down to approximately 1 to 3%, which is what they're actually achieving. Not only them, but a lot of other, institutions or reserve banks around the globe, including Fed. So I'll touch on the busy economic calendar for this week, but just to actually give you a bit of an update, last week, US dollar was actually the winner overall against the majors. We've seen commodities come off as a result, gold and silver, and USD gained strength of approximately 0.5% against all the other major pairs. Now, in terms of the commodity currencies, New Zealand dollar was actually a winner as well, given the fact Canadian dollar and Aussie dollar were quite flat. New Zealand dollar actually gained 1.4%. So basically what's happening is the market is already factoring in that 25 basis point interest rate rise on Wednesday. And as a result, given the market generally looks forward in terms of anticipation of, what will be the outcome of what's going to unfold in the near future, it looks like based on that, the New Zealand dollar was actually going upwards. So let's just have a look at the chart here. And generally, I like to start on monthly and weekly, but for the sake of, the decision and news coming out on Wednesday, I'll probably kick this one off on daily basis. Looks actually very similar to the dollar versus USD. So we've got the trough in October, then we've seen an upside rise all the way to the actual most recent peak in February 2023, which was actually a yearly all-time high. And aside from that onwards, we've seen a clear downtrend in play. Support levels and resistance, something that I look at quite importantly on the chart, is around 61 level mark. So 61 cents, it's around there. And then the next resistance level that we've got is around 65 cents. So everything in between that we've seen from back around December 2022 and January 2023, it's been probably more of a consolidation sideways move. And generally what we find in the markets, if you are a technical trader, is if consolidation is actually happening at the bottom of the market, then generally it would be considered as a bullish move. If it is actually considered at the top of the market, then it would be considered as a distribution move. However, this might be something in between, because the market did actually bottom, as I mentioned previously, in October 2023. So from what we can see here, clear sideways moves in the market, and Reserve Bank of New Zealand will make that decision this week. And any potential surprise to the market, and if we don't see 25 basis point interest rate rise, if it comes at 50, which is highly unlikely, or if there is no movement, there is no interest rate rise, then essentially we should see New Zealand dollar move quite aggressively in either of the directions. What I've got here as well is actually some supply and demand levels as well. So if you have a look at it, just above that 61 cent support level, we can see here between 61.50 and 62 cents. We can see a lot of demand around these levels. But on the flip side as well, if you have a look at the 63.257 level all the way up to the black solid line of 63.836 level, we can also see very short-term supply levels. If the pair was actually to either get in one of those zones ahead of actually hitting that major support and resistance at 65 and 61 cents, then we could actually see a bit of, supply power come into play, or quite a bit of demand from the buyers as well. Another level that I've got actually, which is here coinciding with the major support level, is the Fibonacci levels, which I always like to apply to see defensively, how long the particular pair can actually fall before it reverses, or in a downtrend market, how much it can rise before it actually falls. So if you go back from the October 2022 lows to the actual highs in February 2023, we can see the level here, or the defense, is at 38.2%, and the next level of 50% of the major range is actually around 60-cent level mark. So any strong supply into New Zealand dollar, or any surprise on Wednesday, if it comes through, we could expect some hard, levels of defense around 61 to 60 level mark. Also, what I've got is actually a Fibonacci level on the smaller range. So I always like to start off on the bigger ranges, because as you would appreciate and understand, bigger ranges always have bigger impact on the charts as well. And I did apply the Fibonacci level from the high here at 63.811 level to the most recent low of 61.821 level. We can see that, the pair is actually climbing up nicely, but it is about to hit the 50% level mark. It's actually hovering around 38.2% at the moment. That could be a short-term critical. If it breaks that, then we're going into that supply zone, and any further upside, we could go all the way up to 65 cents. So that's on the upside. So these are the levels to watch. On the flip side and downside, if we see a reversal from these levels, then we could come into the supply zone. And as I mentioned previously, major support or defense is around 60 to 61 level. Something else that you might want to apply, I'm not quite sure at what point you are, and based on your analysis as well, is the Elliott waves. So we could be actually in an impulse wave, potentially wave 2 or 3 at the moment, but that's something that I will leave for the next time. Let's get stuck into the economic calendar for this week and see what could potentially push New Zealand dollar as well as the major pairs, because there is actually quite a bit of news and data coming out. If we go into the economic calendar here at Client Portal, or in Client Portal at Eightcap website, and if we filter the most impact level high on the news, we can see here that retail sales on Wednesday, we've got monetary policy statement as well coming through, and we've got the RBNZ interest rate decision as well. As mentioned just previously, previous rate or currently at 5.25%, and market is factoring that in at 5.5%, so 25 basis point interest rate rise. Also, if you have a look at the retail sales as well, something that could, provide that insight whether the rates will go up or down, we can actually have a look at the quarter results. And previously we've had at negative 0.6%, and the forecast is 0.4%. Last thing that I would like to talk about here, and this is something quite significant, is the FOMC minutes. So that will be a really, really important one coming through on Thursday. We expect Jerome Powell from Fed to talk about the inflation. We expect him to talk about the further interest rate rises or potential interest rate rises. It seems like we are coming to the end of the interest rate hike cycle at the moment. However, it appears the market is actually starting to factor in potentially another interest rate rise in the US. If that is the case, then obviously it looks like the US bulls would to continue to march upwards after a sideways consolidation for quite some time. The last one is the gross domestic product annualized, previously at 1.1%, and the forecast is actually to be neutral or stay the same at 1.1% as well. So these are some of the major news to watch out this week. Quite an interesting week in total. It should be a busy one, and we should see markets move quite a bit. So hopefully you enjoyed this quick insight and analysis, New Zealand dollar USD. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. I wish you all the best and happy trading. Take care.